The following live broadcast is rated PG. Parental guidance is suggested. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube and Facebook, or visit our website at www.earshouldervoice.com.
We've got to work together.
Good evening. Thanksgiving's coming up in just a few days. It's always a good holiday for family to gather around. Unfortunately, this year it's a little different. As most people know, COVID's changing the way Thanksgiving is going to be. A lot of people aren't going to be able to spend it with their family. Some will still choose to, and ultimately that's their choice. But it's just not going to be the same. COVID's changed a lot of holidays for us. It's changed the way we've interacted with people, the way we've spent them, the way we've enjoyed time with our families. But it's not that new in some ways. A lot of families have lost a lot of the connections that they have. They've lost that real parental family unit they have together when it comes to eating dinners, having game nights, watching TV as a family. And it's not always their fault. Streaming services have changed that. A rush schedule, multi-schedules. It used to be 9 to 5 shifts were common. They're not anymore. People working all different hours. But we want to bring back that family unit. We want to bring back that togetherness because that's where some of our greatest memories were ever made. Hi, I'm Keith Litfin for Ear Shoulder Voice. Today's topic is going to be gather around the table, bringing back the family fun. As I just said, we're going to talk about some of the things we used to do as families that created some of the most cherished memories in our lives. But we're also going to talk about what happened to them and what can we do to bring them back. What are some steps we can take to try to make sure that our children have memories like we did? So let's bring on our panel. Let's talk about it. All right, our first panelist tonight is going to be, you already know who it's going to be because I'm always talking about it. It's the lovely, it's the beautiful, it's the talented Nikki.
Oh.
I know. Well, I only did that because Lenny, I can see Lenny on the camera, and Lenny was like, "Here I come." And I was like, "Screw you, Nikki." Or screw you, Lenny. We're bringing in Nikki.
Screw you, Nikki. We'll make you look like an asshole.
We can do that. Nikki, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, Keith. I've missed you, my friend.
I've missed you. You've missed a few of our shows, but I know you've got a really busy, hectic schedule going on.
You know, just mom life, just life.
Mom life,
Yeah.
in general. You got anything coming up for Thanksgiving?
No, I think it's just gonna be me and Greg. The kids will be gone with their dad, so I think we're just gonna have chill. Just chill.
Now, is that your typical Thanksgiving over there?
I mean, it feels like over the years, yeah. Like it's usually just us, not necessarily just Greg and I. We have to share. I have to share my kids with their dad, so every other year, kind of thing. But yeah, for a while now, just kind of since we've been doing our own thing, God, it feels like just the normal.
Well, that's what I said. A lot of people were blaming COVID as being the downfall here. I can't spend it with my family, but a lot of families just don't do it anymore.
No.
It'd be nice to get it back.
I'm the black sheep of the family. I never get invited to those events. So
I can kind of sympathize with that one. Trust me.
So I just started doing it myself. I'd love to do a Friendsgiving.
That's actually what I turned to. Well, you kind of froze on us, but that's okay because I'm bringing in Lenny right now. Lenny, how you doing?
Oh, turkey and stuffing and potatoes. Oh my. Turkey
No, you're
and
all
stuffing
hungry
and
now.
potatoes. Oh my. Turkey
shut
and
up.
stuffing and potatoes. Oh my.
Does everything have to be Wizard of Oz for you?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay,
All right,
wait.
how you doing?
And champagne.
Champagne.
It's Thanksgiving, guys. It's Thanksgiving week. It's Thanksgiving month.
That is
And I
true.
love
That
all
is
my
true.
friends, and I'm missing everybody.
Why do I get the feeling that you've enjoyed your Thanksgiving already quite a bit?
I have.
All right.
One whole glass full.
Well, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you, Lenny, as always. So, Lenny, what do you got planned this Thanksgiving? What's going on?
Oh, this Thanksgiving includes you, and you may not know it yet. But I'll know tomorrow. So if tomorrow, if I get this house that I really want to get that's on Sanibel Island in Florida, then I'm going to leave and go take a bunch of furniture to this place and stay there for the winter. And Keith, I believe, possibly is going to have Thanksgiving with my sister and make a nice big dinner for her. Right? Maybe, possibly.
Yes, I definitely will, because I know you've got a lot of stuff to do this Thanksgiving. You say I don't know yet. Yes, I do know yet. All right, our next panelist tonight, please welcome Brandon.
What's up, everybody?
Sup,
Hi.
Brandon? What's going on?
Just excited for Thanksgiving. I'm kind of nervous because this Thanksgiving entails me going all the way to Tennessee to meet the girlfriend's parents for the first time.
Oh,
Wear a mask. Wear a mask. They'll never even know you.
That's
Then
smart.
if it's
I'm
good,
going-
great. If it's not, you just keep that mask on and they
Don't
really
wear the
won't know.
mask. It's not going to be good when your girlfriend introduces the masked stranger to her family.
No, that's
I like-
perfect.
I like
If they
Laura's
don't,
idea.
no. If they don't like you, then
Just wear a
next
different
year,
mask.
change your hair and wear a different mask and say you're
Pretend
someone
to be
else.
somebody else.
Exactly.
I guess that one could work. So, what do you usually do for Thanksgiving, Brandon?
It's usually, I used to so divorce has made it so that I had to run around a lot for all the holidays. And that always made it a little bit difficult. But in the last few years, ever since my dad moved out to Grand Rapids, it's been pretty much, I'd stick around here for Thanksgiving. It'd be the mom's side, the mom's family, which those are all multiple families too. So
Do
all
you,
the
do you
log-
usually
the
have to do like
logistics
the
are
two
like
meals?
Amazon, man. The logistics are like Amazon Prime to try and figure all this stuff out. But it's usually always a good time somewhere.
That's good, as long as you're still having fun. We got one more person that joined us, so I'm going to bring him on. Welcome, Johnny Boy. What's up?
Hey, Johnny boy.
Johnny.
What's up, everybody?
How are you
How's
doing?
everybody doing?
How's it going?
Great.
We're doing okay.
Good,
We're doing okay.
good.
As you know, of course, we're talking about Thanksgiving here. So, curiosity, what's your plans?
Well, I'm just my family literally lives in all different states now, most of them. So I'm just having a bunch of courses, not a bunch. Can't go over the
Just a
limit.
bunch of people? I can do. All right, so, Friendsgivings have
Making
become
some
more
food,
common.
making.
Yeah, Johnny's always having problems here. But we can kind of hear you. You're chopping a bit for us. Friendsgiving has become a popular thing because a lot of people have lost the ability to connect with different families around there. Who all has done that Friendsgiving?
I've never done one yet. I want to.
This was because I know you had mentioned it. I do them very commonly. Mine's more of a misfit Thanksgiving or orphan Thanksgiving. It's when pretty much anybody, if they have nowhere to go, ever since my family died, I just bring them over because I'm trying to keep that tradition alive of having the big Thanksgiving
That's cute.
dinner.
That's so sweet. It's kind of like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Thanksgiving thing.
I can't get over you right now, Lenny. I'm sorry. You're a special kind of Lenny tonight. But we love you. We absolutely love you. Bill says to cut you off already. Hi to everybody else in the chat. I'm glad to have you.
Well, the funny thing is, it's only because I've been dieting. I've only had like a quarter of a glass of champagne. I'm just so happy right now.
I couldn't tell, honestly.
Like bubbly, huh?
I just love everybody.
I know,
know.
you do.
Everybody
happy.
should
Hi,
love
LaDonna.
everybody.
Hi, LaDonna. Okay, so we've done the friend Thanksgiving, but you know what we're going to talk about first? I want to talk about back in when you were kids, pretty much. We've got pretty much a lot of different age groups on here, so we can talk about what we did. What was Thanksgiving like in your household, Nikki?
Oh, it was like everybody. I mean, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandma, grandpa. Like it was this huge production, and
It was an event.
Yeah, I mean, it was what like I envisioned Thanksgiving to be every year. So, needless to say, on my, on our solo Thanksgivings, it's kind of sad. But I mean, I embrace those old memories. But I was the second oldest of 6 kids. And then if you include the stepchildren too, there was a lot of us kids kind of, intertwined in that. My kids
The
don't
Brady
know that.
Bunch.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you add in
Lenny.
cousins and stuff. We were really close with our cousins on both
Right.
sides. So it didn't matter.
So you had like
what
the
side.
full household,
Yeah.
like 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna fear this next one. So, Lenny, when you were a kid, what was your thing? What are your memories of
Everything
Thanksgiving?
was rainbows and butterflies.
Well, it kind of was, but no, we did Thanksgiving on my dad's side of the family, and we always went like to my Aunt Connie. We called it up at the farm because it was my grandfather's house before it became my aunt and uncle's home. Okay, so we would go up to the farm for Thanksgiving, and my Aunt Connie would always, she was the sweetest woman on earth, and she would always make this everything, perfect little, everything was just perfect. And then we would all sit down and eat, and we all had to pick our highs and our lows of our day and stuff like that. So it was really cool. And then Christmas became the Italian crazy side.
Yeah. Speaking of the Italian crazy side, what's your Thanksgiving like, John? What was yours when you were a kid?
Back in the day, I remember we always went to my Aunt Tina's house, and all the aunts, all the sisters, they would all be in the kitchen cooking. All the kids generally were playing outside in a big pile of leaves. You could smell like the pies and stuff baking. And then all the uncles would go into the garage, to work on the car, or what I thought was working on the car. Really, they were just
Right? Yeah, we know.
getting away from everybody else. Once I got old enough to realize what it was, I was like, I'm going to work on the car with you guys.
You become wanting to spend a lot more time with your uncle. I get that. What about you, Brandon? Last person on here. Last person, Brandon. When you were a young kid, what do you remember for Thanksgivings?
Yeah, it seemed like, so on my mom's side, my aunt just kind of had the most room at her house, so it seemed to always be there, and it would be like, everybody a little bit older would be cooking. You could smell it all, same thing. Everyone would go outside and play football until someone cried, which was a guarantee, and then we'd all have to come inside and, be in trouble until the food was ready. And then, watch the football game.
What was in trouble? What happened when you're in trouble?
Someone got hurt and started crying. It was usually
No. But what happened when you got in trouble?
She wants to know your punishment. She likes to hear the misery of other people.
Yeah.
Time out. Did you get your ass whooped?
No, it was the classic sit down and shut up until we're done.
Right, okay. Basically, well, there's a very big contrast from what we said 5 minutes ago to what we just said right now. Everybody on this panel, and even for the last few years prior to this, doesn't really do much for Thanksgiving anymore.
Yeah.
No.
But yet, when we were all kids, our houses were filled with people. Why? When do you think this really started to change?
All right.
You can talk about it for you. Go ahead, Lenny.
I think COVID is going to make intermediate families closer for Thanksgiving, even though they can't go out and about and have a huge thing. It's going to pull just your inside circle all together and really appreciate the things that we used to have that we don't always even think about appreciating anymore.
I do believe that. I do believe that a lot of the family is going to get closer together now. Mm-hmm. But is it going to be enough, and is it going to be remembered?
Of course,
is my
it
question. I don't know, because I'm gonna veer back to when Brandon was just a pup over there, like back to the blackout, and that brought a lot of people close together. We talked about that in a previous show, and it kind of just disappeared afterwards. It really did. It was cool for the moment. We had fun, and then we went back to our everyday lives. Now, this is not just about Thanksgiving, this show. We're talking about, in general, bringing that family unit back. One of the things that we used to do, and we'll start with even like the television and nights that you would watch TV as a family. I'm sure we've all experienced that, where you come and your favorite show is on, and that's been lost. And of course, streaming services are to blame for that. But I think it was gone before that too. Nikki, you've got kids right now. How long was it, or when was it that you stopped really getting into these family nights?
We have them still every now and then. Just, I don't know. We could make up 50 million reasons why. I think it's a matter of not being more self-conscious to do it more. Really, it becomes so easy that the teenagers are off in their bedrooms doing their thing, and as long as they're happy doing their thing, they're not moaning and groaning like teenagers do. It's just, I don't know. And
well, sadly, that is the view a lot of people have, and I hate that view.
I
because
do too.
We don't remember moaning and groaning in our rooms or being in our room alone and stuff. Those aren't memories for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No,
and
I agree.
as adults allowing that to happen for whatever reason it happens to be, like you said, you can come up with a million of them. We're taking away memories from them that they could have. So I have an issue with that. Brandon, we'll go over to you. So are your Thanksgivings typically still very family oriented, or they kind of split apart as well now? Minus this year.
Yeah, I think one of those differences is like, for me, if you were, stuck alone in your room, you weren't like really actually stuck alone in your room. You had so many more things to do and occupy your attention span and time, So I think at the time, that's what you actually wanted as a kid, was kind of just come to yourself. I don't feel like going and, saying hi to every aunt and uncle I barely see and all that stuff. But, you don't remember that stuff, and you do remember when everybody is together and plays games and does all that stuff. So
yeah, and it's like we're not really from the Stone Age over here, because we had a lot of stuff in our room to do too. We had video games in our room. We had, I don't know, some of the guys had He-Man and Matchbox cars and stuff to play with and make card houses, and the girls had girl stuff. I don't know what it is, but they had stuff to do. But we were told, come out, join the family, join the family on that. And do you ever do the TV nights? Did you ever have, when you were a kid, Brandon, like the TV show, you'd all get together and watch that when you were younger?
Yeah, especially when like my grandma was living with us, so we had a pretty full house. It was like, America's Funniest Videos. That was a big deal. Right around 7 o'clock. It was, sometimes
Bob Saget.
Bob Saget was the best.
Right after
that was
Full
before
House.
my time.
Right after Full House.
I hate to say it, you kind of cut out for a minute. I didn't think you said Saget. I'm sorry. I was like, damn, John.
About to get canceled. No.
Right.
But no, I was in the Tom Bergeron era, so it was a little different for me. But that.
Oh,
or,
really?
like,
You
Yeah.
are young.
yeah, Tom Bergeron, dude. Everyone.
He's a puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the youngest on the panel.
Yeah, back when we were having Thanksgiving, I remember those like 6 to 7 years ago, as a kid. So, but yeah, no, like besides that, it was like the big sporting events. I remember my dad waking me up in 2002 to walk downstairs and watch the Red Wings win the Stanley Cup. Like, and I was just a little tired. I
Yeah,
was supposed to be in bed.
baby.
Got
Yeah,
me up.
so
He was
that-
like, "You got to watch this." I was like, that
Bill's
I
here,
remember.
Bill.
I remember watching that game.
Good for you.
That game specifically, and it stayed on so late that the next day I had school, and I looked at my grandma and I was like, I was up all night. Please just let me take today off. Please, I had to watch the game, and she actually let me, without being sick, stay home because I was up watching that game all night.
That's pretty
See,
cool.
my dad
Alright.
was like,
That's a
"This
good
is what
memory.
life is. You did what you want, and now
Well,
you have to pay for it by going in."
Okay,
Okay,
so
well,
Keith,
shut up, Lenny, and you guys
No,
shut
no,
up. I want to talk about
you-
Bill for 1 second.
I know you have to leave that on there because it's going to take people to process reading this for a
They
little
don't
while.
have to do math. He does the math in the end. Bill says his dad had 9 brothers and sisters, 10 half siblings, and 11 step siblings. Dad's birthday was July 3rd, and we're from 120 to 300 relatives there.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah.
That's a big party. That's a get together, and I don't even think birthday parties have the same effect anymore
Oh, for sure.
for
yeah.
people. It's just a
no.
few.
Times
I've-
are so different. It's just so different. Like,
But
I
why?
remember life differently. I don't know why. I think a lot of the brokenness in families, Keith, like, there's so many families who are divorced, and I don't know. Like, I don't know where it just disconnected.
We had divorce.
Too many distractions. It's
I
like
don't
'Cause-
know.
You know what?
divorce
I'm gonna-
used to
I don't know.
be. Divorce used to be like people change over time. So you get married to the person that you're actually in love with, and then as you change, you might grow apart. Now it's because you met on Tinder and went, "This will be great," and then after a couple of years, all of a sudden, divorce is imminent. So
Divorce is definitely more common. I'll grant you that
Yeah.
right now.
I think
Yeah.
I think people could fairly say in every aspect, including family time, people don't put a conscious effort into making that effort. Like, even when there's brokenness, maybe people aren't extending those olive branches to reach back out to rekindle. I'm guilty of it. And sometimes I get having to separate yourself, because it's just not healthy. When it's not healthy, it's not good. But, if there's reconciliation with your family, there should
Well,
be.
Well,
You
that's
say you're guilty of it, and the
that's
thing is, pretty
exactly-
much anybody who's not experiencing that anymore is guilty of it. It's so you're not alone in that
Yeah.
because we are the adults, and something happened to us. Something happened where we chose not to continue this tradition, and the traditions do not have to be, outrageous or anything. Just making sure people get together and just parents strive. They did that because they wanted their children to be better than they were, 90% of the time, and we're kind of letting them down on that because they did build a lot for us. They did, get us involved with family,
Yeah.
and we're letting
Well,
them down.
When I think back to, though, when I think on these, like, family gatherings, like, some Thanksgivings we would travel to Tennessee, like, Brandon was doing it. Kind of made me smile when you said you're going there. Because I remember, like, I think it was 14 hours to get to our grandma's in Tennessee. And that was some fun adventures. But a lot of what it is some of these generations are passing away. And they were, like, the glue that held that.
Yeah.
And when that pyramid kind of starts to fall, it starts
I
to
think-
fall.
There's something to that. The like, I don't know if you would call it like the patriarchy. Like there was that
Yes.
there was that figure. Like for us, it
Yes.
was my great grandma,
Yes.
and she lived
Mine
past
too.
100, and it was like that was like, all right, we're doing this because she's earned it, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a respect thing. And then it was
Right.
the grandmas, and then it's not the same after.
But you know what I think? I'm going to get to Bill, and then I'm going to respond to that. Bill's Aunt Dorothy, and not the one from The Wizard of Oz, Winnie,
I was like, Dorothy.
was the biggest in the family. And when she gathered, they all gathered. Because there was always usually one person that had the big house that everybody
Yeah.
would go to, say, come
Right.
over, we're going to
Yeah.
do that. My mom was that person in my case, but I know a lot of people that went
Yeah.
other places as well. But going back to what you said about the patriarchy of the family, one of the things I think that changes is our generations, both of ours, don't want to grow up. We don't want to realize that we are those people. You say the grandparents die, but we don't want to admit that we're becoming the grandparents. The mothers get older. We don't want to admit that we're actually becoming the parents, that we are this older area, because we still feel, I think this generation especially, all of us feel like we're 21 kids. We're 21-year-olds, we're 25-year-olds. We can still do everything we want to do and still have fun. Because we won't admit it. I don't want to frickin' admit it, I don't want to admit that. People forget that your mom, when you were a kid, was literally, in Nikki and Lenny's case, probably younger than you were creating these memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
now you're older than them, and you're probably approaching. I mean, Lenny, you're a little older, but you're probably the age your grandmother was during those situations. I know I hate to say
Yeah.
it, but you really were. But
Yeah.
we don't think that way anymore.
No,
Yeah, 'cause
you
then
get
you're given-
you get older, but your brain doesn't want. You feel
Right.
the same. You feel like you're still as young as you were,
Well, that's
Right.
the
And
right
we-
way to,
but your
that's
body
the-
doesn't.
Yeah,
Right.
like Keith, that's the right way of putting it. Is it's like that's admitting almost like if you accept that, that means like you're accepting that you have to do more, like transition more to the responsibility stage of your life, and you're letting go of that like freedom stage, and that's something that's really hard to like grasp, right? So it took so much responsibility for like the grandparents and the great grandparents to hold down that entire family,
Yeah.
stronghold. And you don't want to have that responsibility, right?
So
So,
did
so what happens now?
did it? Well, first of all, did any of you guys take any of the things that your grandmother, aunts, or whatever brought to your gatherings table, and brought it now that you do
Yeah.
now? What
Yeah.
like what kind of things?
My grandmother on my mother's side is a huge influence on my cooking. Same for my grandma on my dad's side, just the food. But my grandma on my mom's side was always extra when it came to Christmas. She was the matriarch, I think is what should be considered, that called us all together, and she went, I mean, seriously all out for Christmas. So as I've aged, even though like my kids are at an age, they don't give a rat's ass about this holiday. They just want the gifts, okay? They don't care what I'm doing. Like you see
You
the
give
decorations.
gifts. You give gifts on Thanksgiving.
Well, she's
No, I'm
talking about
coming to
holidays
your
in
house.
general,
I'm talking
I
about
think.
holidays,
Yeah.
Okay.
Christmas.
It isn't just
I
a
know.
Thanksgiving
Yeah.
show. It's just the general.
Yeah, I know.
That was
Yeah.
one of the biggest gatherings we've
So
had.
they're in for the gifts and not, but somewhere down the road, if you have a certain recipe or something like that, that's going to
Yes.
make them remember this time. Yeah.
Well, and I force it still, even to like you will still, we're still gonna spend time together. I know it's gonna be miserable, but at some point there's gonna be smiles. There will be smiles on your face. I promise. At some point,
But you know,
roll with it.
there was a miserable time all the time when we had the family get together. There was always somebody fighting somewhere, somebody argued somewhere. It was crazy. But I say somebody because I really don't remember a lot of them.
Oh.
I remember waking up to the voices in the house and waking up to the smell of Thanksgiving dinner, being prepared, and coming out and talking to people and seeing my cousins I haven't seen in ages, and talking to them. And I think that we're depriving them. Linny, you've got kind of a special situation with this stuff, with your kids on there. Have you tried to instill this with them? I'm curious how that works with you, because I know your kids are special needs, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. But we always did stuff. I mean, we always did. Well, Thanksgiving was, and a divorce, so it kind of alternated. Every other year, he would get them for Thanksgiving, I'd get Christmas, and then vice versa. And I always tried to either go somewhere with them and then do a meal, but I always did a meal. And we always had to sit down, and we all had to sit at the table, because I grew up like that. I grew up where we ate dinner at a table every night. I mean, my mom cooked, my dad...
We're hitting that, too.
Yeah, I mean, my dad used to hunt deer, and anything he hunted, my mom would cook, and she was Italian, so she could take that gamey food and turn it into something spectacular. But we always sat down as a family unit during every
That
day,
was the
really.
thing. And we that's another thing we've lost, because it was a daily thing. Bill says jam cake and goody cake. Desserts were really popular for carrying recipes over. I noticed that even the simplest ones usually were good. And bacon, what they do? They go like candied bacon, because candied bacon can be so good.
What?
Curious how that.
Okay, time out. I don't even know what candy bacon is.
It's candied bacon. It's literally like browned with brown sugar and caramelized. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just caramelized. The fat is.
It's
so
a sweet bacon. It actually is really
Whole
good.
new
And I don't like
game.
bacon, but
It's
it's
a whole
good.
new game.
Yeah, it is.
You
Changes
can
things.
get
Wayne.
chocolate covered bacon.
Okay, now you're going too far.
Yeah, you're getting
Thanksgiving
crazy.
got ruined
No.
when the last Denny's closed. Wayne. Do you ever think... I want to talk a little bit about Wayne's situation here with Thanksgiving and it getting ruined when things close. Because have you ever thought, Wayne, to... What I did when I got to the point that I didn't have Thanksgiving really anymore. My mom, my family was all gone. Everybody was there. And that's when I started reaching out and finding out there were a lot of people in the same situation. And then I hosted that Thanksgiving. And that's how I created the Orphan Thanksgiving. And have you ever thought about doing that, Wayne? Like reaching out and just having it? Or do one thing I did that has nothing to do with the holidays, I started creating a game night. That I would have people just come over and get in the group. And you create, when you lose your main family, you create a new one of friends. And they become the same kind of people, and they're the same ones you look forward to get together. I have a Christmas party every year. I do on Christmas Day. And the turnout's phenomenal because it's a memory people create that they get back together. And it's all friends, mostly, maybe my brother's there, but it's not really family, it's all friends. So Wayne, sometimes when you're stuck with that, your Thanksgiving's ruined, reach out and try to create something. Don't ask people, hey, if I did this, would you? Create an event, invite people. People will respond to you. Because you're not the only one that misses this stuff. Even though we talk about we don't do it anymore, we miss it.
Yeah.
And we want it.
Wayne,
Linny,
Go
Wayne, my suggestion is to call your house Denny's and invite everyone to come. And then you'll have your Denny's back.
And they'll walk and they'll be like, "This is
Wayne?
the cleanest Denny's I've ever been to."
do not call your house Denny's. Cleanest bathrooms, I like it.
The Grand Slam is something else, but it's fine.
Don't call it Denny's. You're going to get a lot of people you don't want if you call that thing Denny's. Trust me.
There's something
just
to the
wait.
game thing,
And then put just a couple pieces of gum underneath the table.
just to make it authentic. Yeah.
Because when I was at a Denny's, that was the last time I went to Denny's, is that my fingers got stuck on something under the table. And it
Why are
was-
you reaching under the table? You don't do that,
Feel
period.
better.
I don't know, but there was gum under the table and it grossed me out, so I couldn't go back to Denny's.
You gotta hire two people to pretend they're cooks and have them fight.
Going back to some of the game nights and stuff, Bill says until you win all the games 3 years in a row and they don't invite you anymore. Ha ha ha! You conceited prick. All right. So I was like,
No, I was gonna say, Keith, you're onto something. The game night is something that's like very important, and it seems like cheesy, right? And even when someone's like, "Hey, let's all gather around. Like, you guys want to play a game?" People are like, "I don't really feel like doing it." But by the time everyone's actually sitting around a table and playing a game, it's some of the biggest laughs, right?
it's
some of the
so fun.
Oh,
And people get
yeah.
confused with game night. They think, what, we're going to pull out Monopoly? No, and especially in
No.
today's day and age, there are so many interactive fun party games out there, starting from simple like Catchphrase. And you even got, aside from Balderdash, Catchphrase, Cranium, there's a whole bunch of shit that just makes you feel young again when you're playing too. But you've got digital things too. You've got the Jackbox Party Pack. You've got all sorts of stuff like that, which is just a blast
it's
to
so
play with
fun.
the group. And then you've got your standard card games like Euchre and Uno, which we don't play because my grandma was an evil dragon.
Sold. We need to have game night. Now
well-
that we're
Yes.
talking about this.
You guys want to play euchre?
But you know what? It's not
Yes.
just a game
Oh,
night
I've
for
been playing
friends.
Game forever.
And this is where things get different. It's not just one for friends.
Yeah.
What about your family? Like literally, Nikki, this is where I'm coming. I'm going to come at you for this right now. You said we don't do it anymore. We don't know why. Now you're jumping on the fact, let's all have a game night here. Why haven't you said that to your family?
Yeah.
No, we do. Me and my children do still have nights. We have nights.
And I'm not like
We have
trying to
tons of
insult
games.
you at all in any way like that, but I'm like trying to get an idea because a lot of people don't. They will jump on it to go to
Yeah.
a bunch of friends and do it.
Yeah.
And-
no, we absolutely do it in our household. Is it every night? No way, Jose.
Oh no,
but,
no, can't handle that.
I try to make sure once a week, like we have just time.
Well, that's
know,
good because a lot of people do
together.
not do that anymore. Brandon, do you have any event like that you do once a week?
Yeah, no. Weirdly enough, the game nights. I've never actually done a game night with friends. That was always the family thing. Is the game night kind of
Yeah.
makes everybody that maybe the aunt and uncle that's kind of been bickering all night.
Yeah.
Just everyone's kind of tentative about sitting down and actually playing the game. But by the time we do, we're all cracking up. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, with Friendsgivings and stuff, it was, sometimes just hanging out with your friends is a little easier. There's probably not as much of
Yeah.
that, family forced animosity
yeah,
and,
yeah.
someone's arguing about politics, someone's mad that the Bears are losing because why did we invite someone from Chicago? And, but
Yeah.
the games help kill all that tension really easily.
Well, that's what they did no matter what was. I mean, one of the biggest things, it was random nights we'd have dinner, because we'd always eat dinner at the table as well. Pretty much every night dinner was made, brought home, whatever it was. And then one of us had to clear off the table. And why did we clear it off the table? So we could play
games.
Uno or Skip-Bo or something like
Yes.
that.
Yahtzee is
whatever
my
those
favorite.
terrible, Yahtzee. And they were great
Pictionary,
times.
charades.
No, because nobody in my family could draw.
That's why it's
That
fun.
started more. Pictionary can start fights. If you can't draw, you're going to lose friends.
Yeah, no, that's so fun because someone's like, it's a sailboat. It's a giraffe. Oh.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
We do a
But
lot
we-
of dice games.
Dice games.
Now,
they
for
don't-
anybody watching here, I'm curious, anybody that's commenting on there, do you guys do any game nights or anything like that? Do you have anything to look forward to, whether family or friends? And I'm curious if you do one over the other and why. If you care to comment, because that's a really big one there, and that's part of what brings the family unit together. And you can be so mean during game nights, and it's all forgiven at the end of the game most of the time, unless it's Monopoly. So,
Cut.
yeah, do not play Monopoly. Okay, whatever you do. First of all, your game night's going to run way too long, and second of all,
Yeah.
it's going to end with all the pieces on the board across the room.
Yeah.
Yes, someone's bleeding.
But we did everything. We played Clue. We did whatever was out, and there's so many options nowadays. And we got like the movie nights. Just watching a new movie comes out, we watch it, and people think because you're streaming, you don't get the opportunity to do that anymore, but you do. If it sounds weird because we're in this anxious rush mode as a society now. We got to get things, get it done, move on. But a new series comes out on Netflix, and binging is stupid because they're going to show all these episodes at once. But if you've got a family and it's a good series, why not schedule one day a week to watch one episode and trying to binge it?
Right.
Let's watch the next episode next week or 2 days a
Amen.
week and just split it apart. So you have something, because you're also building structure in your kids and your family's lives.
That's
And
like
that's
trying
really
to eat 2 cookies out of the package and then setting it aside till next week.
It is possible to do though. It is.
It's hard to do if you're the only one eating the cookies.
Yeah, right.
Good point. The more people going into those cookies, the more you're like, all right, I'm not going to eat all of
You
them.
gotta
because
save
he
it
wants
for
some,
later.
he
No,
wants
that's when you lick the whole row so that nobody eats your cookies.
Remember all that sparkly sunshine shit I said about you? That's out the window right now.
some.
I did that. I did that in the past, didn't I, Sue? Yep.
That's,
I did.
that's aggressive.
Well, because I didn't want to eat. There'd be no cookies left at the end of the week if I didn't do that. So I'd show my sisters, and I'm like, "These are mine, guys." Loop. And I'd do the whole row, and then they wouldn't touch my row, and then I'd have them there.
I was
throughout
that
the
gross
whole
child. I'd be
week.
like, huh,
Right.
I don't care.
It adds
Turn
a
around.
flavor. It adds a weird Wizard of Oz flavor to it. For some
Yep.
reason.
Exactly. Yep.
But I mean,
back-
that is cookies, and it's hard. It's like eating one out of a bag of chips. But with TV shows, it's more because if you just do that with one, maybe do 2 episodes that night, your kid's got to go to bed and stuff. So do 2. I do believe that a lot of people will look at the experience when that happens and say, I can't wait to do this again with you guys. Because it's actually fun. You actually get to talk about something, and talking about TV shows when they're on is good too.
Yeah.
Or movies and stuff like that.
See, we
Dude.
can't do that in my household because they all get so damn serious when it comes to TV. Like, they get so mad at me because I'm like, I will talk the whole time. And they're like, would you just shut up
That's the worst.
and
I'm
let us
sorry.
watch?
That's the worst when like you're all watching and she'll ask a question like, "Hey, what's going to happen with those 2 people?" Like, I've been given the same information as you. Please just watch it with me.
But I will say this. I will say, when you create these nights and stuff, and people will hate this, put your fucking phones away.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
there's
Leave it
nothing-
out. Because that's how you get 90% of the what just happened and what's going to happen
Yes.
questions.
Yes. Yes.
Because you're looking at your damn phone. I've literally been watching a show and somebody's been sitting on the phone going, what happened?
Right, yeah.
You
and then
fucking
it's like,
missed it. I don't
Gotta
really
go
care.
back, right? Like, yeah, no, commit or don't.
Yeah. And same with the game nights and stuff. Put the phones away. Make it a habit. It'll seem like punishment, and they may even hate it at the beginning, but it is
They
something
do.
they're going to look back and remember, and it's something they're going to do in return for their own children.
Yes. I promise you,
Like-
every time my kids will fight me, and by the end of the night, we're laughing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they
And do-
enjoyed it.
Do like charades.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Those are
a
fun.
charades thing.
Whatever
because then-
whatever you're good at, because some people can't do charades. Some people are in situations where the people playing can't, or Pictionary, or different types of games.
Why?
But there is
I'm
such
sorry,
a
there's-
variety.
Teeth, there's no I can't in my vocabulary.
There's
So
do and do
everyone
not.
can.
There is no try.
Everyone can
Not true,
do
Yoda.
charades.
Not true. Some people in certain situations can't even stand up to do the game, and I mean they have ways of doing it. But what happens is when you do games like that with people
Then
with
it becomes more fun and a memory.
it becomes
You
more fun
create
for
a memory.
everybody, but the person who's at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
Nope.
once the person
Nope.
in the wheelchair has to mimic
Nope.
running, everyone gets sad.
Well, I'm gonna
No.
say my sister Karen, we avoid certain games that she just can't do. Now, yes, she will do her best to do it, but she feels that she's slowing up the game. She's not making the game as fun. Even though we're okay with it, she does not feel that way.
But she'll have
certain
a
things.
memory after she does it. She's gonna remember that, and that's what life is all about. Is just being able to go back like we're doing right now and thinking about all
But
the
do you
things
want
that
the memory?
we did,
Do you want the memory to be that I was the downer
Good or
during the
bad.
game?
good or bad.
I'm just saying you can pick other things. It doesn't have to be. Now, charades is a great suggestion for a lot of things. Charades is even Heads Up. That stupid little phone game. That's one where you
Yeah.
can keep your phone handy.
Yeah.
But I don't
There's-
have a forehead. I can't play that.
Move your hat. You'll have one.
I don't
But
know,
no,
I think it
charades
just-
is a good suggestion. It's just you can always find something, especially in today's world. Go ahead, Nikki.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it just comes down to making the time. And when I said earlier we don't do it enough, I think I was more talking about like the big family gatherings. I can't
agree.
tell you. I can't tell you how long it's been since, since we've had it. It's been a couple years.
And whose fault is that?
away. Well, my grandma passed away like 2 years ago. We
Mm-hmm.
did Christmas Eve like she would have, done every other year. We did it that Christmas, and then it just kind of fell apart from there. There was a lot of animosity and whatever. I don't know.
So yeah,
I
to go
removed myself.
Yeah,
that
Brandon.
brings me back to that thing where we were like, so what are the traits that you like took from your great grandmas and grandmas? And like the trait I always realized was the thing that made it happen, but I don't know how to emulate that, and I am kind of young, so I don't know, but I haven't seen it in like my parents, is that like
Right.
just absolute like mob level respect, right? Everyone's
Yeah.
doing it because there's so much respect for this person
Yeah.
that we're doing this no matter what because
Yeah.
for this person. But then when they go away, it's weird that it starts to just stop happening.
Well,
Thumbs
my
up on
grandpa-
trivia, Bill.
My grandpa said it was just too hard for him to keep doing it and not see my grandma's face. They were together like 50 something years. I
And this is
understand that.
where things have to change.
Yeah.
This is where you have to realize you are taking the role now. This
Well,
is
I
where
do
you
have
grow
my
up
own
and say,
house.
hey, you know what? No, I know that, but to the outside family. Because a lot of times what happens is the family that hosts it doesn't want to do stuff like that anymore. And that's
but-
actually what kills it. Like my mom, like I said, she held the major holidays for the most part. My Aunt Jane held like the eves of the holidays. There, when my mom passed, the holidays kind of stopped and I lost it. And I made an effort, and it worked for a while. Last 4 years, it hasn't been as successful because, well, the world's changing. But I made an effort to fill that gap.
Yeah.
To say, I guess I've got to take this. Nobody has to tell you this is your job now. You got to reach out to those people and say, let's do this. And even if it's not a holiday, let's start having a night on a weekend. Hey, why don't you come over Sunday for dinner and invite the entire family you can think of. I mean, not everybody. Don't go extreme because then you're going to hate it if it's too much work. You got, but invite more people over. Aunts, uncles, cousins.
So
Ashley
they actually
says,
hit it.
yeah, I think some people have become so busy with work, kids, functions, and people, they become too tired to put effort into getting together because it's easier to stay at home sometimes. You're right, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem. Because, Ashley, you're absolutely right. They do. But we're a busier society than we were then, I believe that. But we're also simultaneously a much lazier society. We're so busy with work that we don't put the effort into home a lot of times.
Well, here's the thing too, and I kind of have a completely different scenario for
Well, then I don't want to hear it.
why.
Just kidding. Go
Anything
ahead.
that's different from my
It is.
thoughts is illegal.
Exactly.
So my family is a little bit different. They are all still gathering. They're all still gathering, and I'm just literally, you guys, I'm not included.
So
in
you're the
what
outcast
doing.
of it.
Yeah,
in your
and
situation.
that's why.
There's a
so-
black sheep.
Yeah, I am, and I've grown to be okay with it. Like I just do my own thing. Is it sad and depressing? It can be, like it, in some moments, but I just have to not let myself go there. So I'm in control of my own happiness.
Now,
I
what would
remind myself
happen?
to-
You
So go
say
ahead.
you're not invited, and that can be misconstrued for a lot of people. Because have you thought about just showing up? I don't know the situation, so I'm actually asking legitimately.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I guess I used to think about just showing up. It's just a very volatile like family dynamic. Like
Yeah,
it's
okay.
my normal family dynamic is what is we're completely dysfunctional. You know what I mean? To the regular world on the outside.
Well, yeah,
And I-
there's always that one.
Yeah, and I'm the one who speaks up about it. Everybody else sugarcoats it and will pretend like it's okay. That's why they're all there gathered.
Because that
And-
way they can just not worry about it and leave it.
Yeah.
Right.
And because I refuse to pretend like it's okay, I just stopped getting the invitations because I do have a sassy mouth and I speak up, I guess, to the wrong people.
So there are actually
I'm okay with it.
invitations made in your situation. There
no,
are
not
invitations
anymore.
made.
No, no, not anymore.
No, I meant to other family members that aren't you. There are invitations
oh, yeah.
made.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're
Okay.
gathering.
Because sometimes for a lot of people, people just don't invite them because it's expected.
But the important
You
question,
assume this is
Nikki,
where you're going to be on this holiday. That's why I was asking about that.
the
Yeah.
important question, Nikki, is have you any wool?
Yes,
Have you any
sir,
what?
yes, sir.
Wool, it's the Baba Black Sheep crap.
Good.
I mean, in a sense, our family was the black sheep of the family as well, but we still got the right people to get together
Yeah.
during the holidays and the special days. We would have Sunday meals and randomly invite different family over or different friends or something like that. And it's just, it's the memories. And for me, one of the biggest ones was Sunday breakfast. And I don't even like
Yes.
breakfast, but there was something really big to me, just like with the holidays, of waking up Sunday morning and smelling bacon or sausage or anything like that. And I hate bacon, but the smell's awesome. I love the flavor and the smell. I hate bacon itself. But you wake up and you just hear this conversation going on, and you feel you belong.
Yeah.
You feel you're part of a group. You feel you're part of an entity, and that I don't think people feel, especially when you let your kids, and nobody particular on this panel am I speaking to, but you let your kids just lock themselves in their room and not come out. Or you say, yeah, go ahead, go out, go hang with your friends or something like that. Now, sure, that's important sometimes, but you got to focus on what is important for the family, because you're destroying generations in the future.
It's definitely hard though when like it's a broken family of individually broken families too. I always wanted to bring it up to my like parents that everyone should have like a family get together draft. Like have two parties and everybody just draft everybody. Like you get one, it's like picking teams in kickball,
Teams,
and
I
then
love that.
eventually you get two pretty good parties.
That's a good way to do it, actually. I never even thought about that one, but that works.
I think it would be
that
great.
can actually work. What about Lenny? What about you in that situation? I know you said you still do that, and you still try to have the events there. Go ahead.
Where's what?
I don't remember
Waiting
now.
for
Go
the
ahead.
question.
Oh, okay. I said you still try to have, but I was saying, what about you in the same situation there with bringing the family? Do you think you've let anything go, or do you think other people in your family have kind of stopped it?
No, my family, I mean, I come from a very large family, just like Bill. Both of my mom and dad had like 6 and 7 brothers and sisters, and then they all had 4 kids, so I've got cousins up the wazoo. But I'm just going to tell you my favorite story of Thanksgiving, because when
See,
I
the
used
question
to
didn't matter.
it didn't matter. I'm
He's realized
switching it
it.
up because I can.
So Lenny, question mark. Go.
No, yes. Okay, so I told you that we used to go to my dad's side of the family on Thanksgiving. Well, then when my dad passed away, then it all switched over to my mom's side of the family again, which is a huge Italian family. Well, my Uncle Bob decided to have Thanksgiving this one night, and they had this huge home, big, ginormous table, and everybody's sitting around at the table, and my cousin and I, we knew it was just going to be really like, because it was just too like proper. And so I had just had my son, Hunter. So we took my son, he was a baby, and he couldn't sit up anywhere, so we put him on the floor right next, like on the corner of where my aunt and uncle were sitting at the head of this long, big, huge Victorian table. And we put a fart machine underneath him. And then my cousin had the little button, so during the prayer, a little toot would come out, and then you'd hear some of the older people going, "Oh my, oh my," and then
He's a drink.
seriously, throughout the whole dinner, my cousin would be just sporadically throwing these little out there, and it just lightened up the whole thing. And then at the end of that night, we finally told all these older people and stuff what we were trying not to laugh so hard at, but I can't get that memory out of my Thanksgiving. That's like my favorite Thanksgiving ever.
That's
That
one of
went
the things too when I
beautifully. I
talk
like
about the beautiful memories. It's not
Yep.
just these such quaint dinners and it's the laughs, but it is sometimes the weird stuff that comes in at the end. It's just the fun.
Yeah.
It's
Well, that brings up another interesting dynamic of it is like as families, grow and different families are a little bit different. What happens is some will be like that, sweatpants and sweatshirts party, and some will be that prim and
All
proper,
dressed
suits and
up.
ties thing, and those two, dynamics will clash when you try and have a big get together. And I know I almost said dick there. And then I just said dick, so. One of my favorite things, just like Liddy, right? One of my favorite things is to get one of those, like that prim and proper uncle to start laughing at stuff that he knows he's not
Yes.
supposed to, and then it
But they
just
can't
like
help
opens
it.
it all up, right? It's so funny.
Well, and that was the thing, because it was a baby making these noises. Everyone kind of thought it was like, at first, some of the
makes it
older
better.
ones, yes, it made it better. It made it, and we didn't say anything for a while. And that was the best part about it, because they really thought it truly was happening.
Well, what you said, Brandon, is true. You get it. All our family goes into different walks of life all the time. You know, as they grow up, and some are going to be those suit and tie people. Some have done it that if you go to any family event, especially the older generation right now, more so the older generation when we were younger, we're more into the suit, get all dressed fancy up. And it's dwindling a little bit, but you're right. That's the one time you can get them together. Because with kids, honestly, my grandpa, when I was a little kid, my grandpa Joe, well, he talked like one of these all the time. And he was, you know, always dressed in the suit. And I kind of feared him a little bit. You know, he was a scary guy. I was a kid. Yeah.
Did he have throat cancer? Is that why he talked like that?
I'm assuming, yes. He died when I was really young.
Hilarious.
Because
He just did it to
No.
fuck with me.
Right.
But no,
No, 'cause
I'm assuming that's what it was, but I don't know the details.
Keith, the reason I ask you that is because my grandfather had the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, whoa.
No, that is what I'm assuming it is. I just
Yeah.
don't know 100% for sure because he died when I was really young and I never really asked about it. I just remembered him with that voice thing right there. So, and it was creepy, but when we had the family get-togethers, I saw a whole nother side of him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I was getting to with that, was it allows other family members to not just be known as the creepy grandfather, the creepy uncle, because kids are scared of old people sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially because old people are so touchy and cold and clammy. You know, and when you're a kid, it's a creepy feeling. It's, you know, kids don't handle it well. But then you get to, that's their time to actually show you a different kind of love. And, you know, you're going to remember those pinches on the cheek and those sloppy kisses and stuff, and you're so
Stop
cute.
picking me up by my armpits. That hurts.
Right. But that's a time to get to know your family, and it's really important.
It's good for
Now-
that dynamic thing, too, because, like, when everybody's kind of used to their prim and proper way or their laissez-faire way, when you get everybody together, it gives those dynamics a chance to see the perspective of the other dynamic. So it
Yeah.
kind of just
Yeah.
it makes everybody able to grow a little bit too.
Yeah.
If you can make it work, it might be difficult, but it can be really
Yeah.
good for everybody.
And the other aspect I think people are losing, because you're right with that. But the other aspect is too is not just the grandmas and the grandpas and the aunts and the uncles, but the cousins.
Yeah.
And they're all losing out because those are a lot of times great new friends for your kids and just
Yes.
great friends in general.
Yes.
Some of the best times I had great times with all my friends in the neighborhood. But I had a lot of time when there's no consequence because I was at my cousin's house doing a bunch of bullshit, you know.
Some of my
'Cause
best
you're away
friends are
from
still my
everything.
cousins, man.
Exactly, and I love my cousins to death. And, you know, we have a couple, Teresa and Lisa are my cousins, and Teresa was always seemed like more the proper one. You know, she was all perfect. Lisa was kind of the more fun, outgoing one. Then we had my James and Walter, and they were opposites like me and my brother because they were different age groups. But when we got together, we laughed at everybody. We laughed at everything. We had fun. So it didn't matter how you were, you got to let loose. And cousins is another one that I think is really important to start getting around. Not just, we're going to go see your cousins, you know, and that's the only time you do. Those family get-togethers, when you can separate the adults and separate the kids and all that, they do so much for building character. I think that we've lost a lot.
Absolutely.
that
I don't
sense.
think so. I don't think so. I wish we had some more people, some more young people telling us, you know, what's going on in their lives right now, because I think that I have a lot of friends that do exactly what I used to do when I was a kid. But you don't hear about it all that much.
Well,
you
no,
know?
I agree that people still go see their cousins and hang out with their cousins. They're still friends with cousins. But I'm talking about the introduction of them being a regular person in their lives, something they can look forward to seeing. Like cousins they don't get to go out and see because maybe they live an hour away
Right?
and stuff like that. And getting them together during specific times that... So your kids actually have something
Okay.
to look forward to rather than a room full of adults eating.
All right, so let me ask you this. Okay, do you think that has evolved that way because it's so easy to FaceTime somebody, to, you know, Facebook some, you know, everybody's kind of connected that way rather than having to sit down all at a table?
In a sense, a little bit, but I don't think so because we had telephones. And I get that FaceTiming is so much more than phones were, but at the time, phones was the ultimate way to communicate. We could still do that, and we still wanted to see them. We didn't even imagine in our head the idea of FaceTiming with people or seeing them. So we had a version of everything they have now. We had a version of their games. We had a version of their toys. We had a version of their telephone or FaceTiming or the internet and communicating. So we had ways to communicate. And telephones, you can say that FaceTiming's one of the reasons, but nobody uses the telephone to call people anymore.
Right.
So the amount of communication was pretty much the same. Actually, I think people FaceTime less than we did when we called,
No.
but I don't know if that's 100% true.
But I think my question is this, is that a long time ago when you didn't have the internet and you didn't have FaceTime and you didn't have all these things that connected you to other people in general, it was more important. Then those big events became, it's the only time you get to see them or hear them or talk to them or find out about them. Now at the I can hop on the screen and see what my cousin's doing right now on Facebook. I mean, it's great and sad at the same time.
Well, that's where the actual engagement during the event and creating the games and
Right.
Actually letting them play together outside or whatever, things they can't do, because it still creates a memory they can go to. Sure, they can still talk and keep up, and I wish I could have when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I wish I could have seen and talked to my cousins more.
Brandon, you don't even know that part of it, and sometimes it's like what you don't know, and it doesn't affect you at all. But when you grew up one way, not having any of that, those Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, big events were the only time you really got to spend time talking to someone
Yeah,
or
finding out what's
interacting.
new.
Yeah,
Seeing how their
exactly.
life's going.
And it was like the Wizard of Oz. It was once a year, and it was really special. Now it's like, whatever.
But it doesn't have to be just those times. I
Yeah.
had to bring up Wizard of Oz.
So that's one of those things too, is like, not to always make it about social media, but one of those things that social media did do is kind of wired into people that they want to be heard than not listen as much. And that actually kind of rears its head at these get-togethers, right?
Yeah.
Is like, I want to only talk about me, and people are getting worse at actually listening to like, oh, okay, let me hear your perspective about the stuff I've seen over Facebook, and let me hear your side of stories that of what's happened to you this year. People are getting a little bit worse at actually listening to that part, and I think that might actually add into why people aren't getting together as much.
Well, it's true, because when you're talking with social media, you're the center of the universe.
Right.
You are the center of your universe.
Right.
And anybody who's talking is talking directly to you in your head. You're talking directly to them. You're conversing, and when you get together in that, it's not all you. So that's true, but it doesn't mean abandon other things, because social media is going to be gone. Other things eventually, in time in the future, no matter what we think now, it's going to be gone. We thought there was 100 things that
evolve.
wouldn't be gone.
Yeah.
Right, it'll be something else.
Different. Yeah.
Internet is at some point probably going to be gone.
I've been waiting for the day.
It seems like we take it for granted now, but it is going to eventually disappear. I mean, literally, paper and pencil is disappearing from our lives.
Yeah.
It really is. The ability to even write something down is disappearing. That's something we thought forever. Our entire existence would be something that would never go away, and it's disappearing. So you're not building anything for when that does happen, and MySpace was all the rage. Where the hell is MySpace now? Where is Tom? He was my only friend for a good period. Was Tom on MySpace?
This is funny because just this week I actually logged back into my MySpace to look at it, and it's just one picture of a creepy little 12-year-old me, like, taking a picture of, like, is this social media?
I know the MySpaces are still there. Memorial Day was Bill's Day, always gathering for family and friends on Hazel Park. And,
Horse track. All right. No, I'm just kidding.
that's not there anymore. Another
Right,
thing that
back in the day.
disappeared. But what can we do, though, to try to bring this back? How can we leap over these hurdles that Brandon and Linny are mentioning?
We can start by not being so glass half empty, Keith. You're like, all right, things are horrible and not getting fixed. What could we do? I don't know.
Well, that is the point of the show, Brandon. Did you
Okay.
miss the memo?
That's a good point. You've just been kind of aggressive about it. Maybe don't lick the cookies, Linny.
No, keep licking cookies.
Family first. Put your
Yeah.
family first.
I agree with that. That is
Right
one.
there.
Especially
And,
after the pandemic, that put that in perspective, that when things hit the fan, that might be all you have, right?
Yeah.
And landlines are disappearing, and that's very true. Also, Bill, I'm not going to lie about that, but that's going to be something that's going to hit everybody hard if suddenly the internet does go out.
Right.
Yeah.
If something happens, there's going to be no form of communication. because
Right.
a lot of phones are becoming internet based.
Yeah, dude,
So-
the last phone number I like what do you call it? Not remembered, but memorized. That's it. Was my buddy's, landline from down the street. I would just call, get his parents. Is Kyle there? I remembered that phone number by heart. Set it to some kind of song in my head so I'd remember it. That was the last phone number I actually knew. I don't even know my girlfriend's number to heart. That's how.
Oh,
No,
I don't know half the
right.
numbers I have anymore because they're all
Right.
by name now.
Yeah.
I used to be so proud with the numbers I knew when I was a kid. I had like 100 numbers, 150 numbers even in my head. I'm like, I know everybody's number. A lot of good that fucking does me now.
Right.
I'm like, that was a wasted talent. Going back to what Ashley said and how we can make things better. And she said people have become so busy with work, kids, functions, and people to become tired to put effort into getting together. And it's funny. That's kind of a funny statement because in that statement you include kids, functions, and people. And kids are part of the thing we got to get together as well. You have to make time for everything. Like you said, family first. But you don't have to go to bed that half hour early because you're tired. Spend that half hour, with them. You don't, you can't be too busy when you get home. I know you're exhausted, but our parents were exhausted. My mom was a single mom who did everything she could to make sure she had everything provided, but she never let us feel like she wasn't there.
Right.
And we weren't part of the family. And I think we acclimate to that. And I think, again, that age and the acceptance of our role in life is something that's pushing us away from it as well.
And the reason
Well-
it's probably getting worse. Sorry, Nikki.
No,
the
go ahead.
reason it's probably getting worse is each generation is more ingrained with that social media each year, and it's more ingrained in them that it's easier just to not deal with the actual getting together. So each year it's actually going to get worse because you're so stuck
For
on
Bill.
Right.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Tribute.
I was just gonna say, so many people like you, so many people they're just so busy on the internet. But here's the thing: it's funny because somebody can sit there and say, "Oh, I have no time," but those are the people that are like binge watching shows on Netflix, and for like 4 solid hours they just done watched,
Yeah.
however many seasons, and like that's 4 hours is you can get some shit done.
Yeah.
Though your day is busy,
It's called
you're
priorities.
You're
Yes.
creating no
Yes.
time.
It is.
Yes.
Exactly.
Literally, I don't have time to do this right now.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
2
It's
hours
called-
later.
It's
Exactly.
priorities. It's
Yeah.
what you prioritize in your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, Lenny
I
might have
just-
hit it. Priorities is like the number one thing we're losing because,
Yeah.
all of those reasons.
I mean, the main
It's-
basis. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say priorities is the number one thing that I'm preaching to my kids, especially my 17-year-old who has senioritis so damn bad. Like he wants to be done with school already, but he wants to be working, and I'm like, hey, you got some priorities to keep
Right,
in
and
line.
priorities, like, remember that time, all those times I said I would rather just be in my room doing my thing?
But
I don't remember
that-
any of that time if I had
Yeah, that's
prioritized
exactly the point.
the stuff I remember is the stuff where I was
Because
with people.
what you're
Right.
doing in your room during that period is what you do in your room every single day.
Right.
There's nothing unique. There's nothing special about it. Yeah, Lenny?
No, I was just gonna say everybody's priorities are different at every different age, and we as a parent. So Nikki, you and I can attest to this. That all you can do is guide that young person to that direction of where their priorities are to expand on them, so that they can make choices that maybe their priorities would change if
Right.
if they listen to you, but they don't. So,
Right.
but a young person's priorities. I know when I was in my 20s, my priorities weren't gathering around at a
In your 20s,
Thanksgiving
they
dinner.
weren't.
Exactly.
You're gonna
But
go
as
through
you get
a
older,
lapse.
yeah, as you get older, those priorities change, and family
Exactly.
starts to become front and center.
Exactly.
I don't
As you
expect
start
anybody
get
to get their 20-year-olds to suddenly start, going to their family gatherings and stuff, because 20-year-olds aren't going to do it. That was true for us. That was probably true for our parents, too. But
Well,
eventually
unless
they
they-
remember and they go back to it.
Yeah, right. That's the fun part
Yeah.
about it, okay? As you
Yeah.
get older, you guys are all younger than me, but as you get older, you look back, and I think about my 20s. Everybody was like, well, where is she? How come she doesn't come to any of this stuff? But I was so working on my life, and that was my priority at the time. Not that I didn't love them and that. I would have loved to have been able to do both, but I couldn't. I had to make that choice. And it is what it is, Do I miss that part a little bit, but would I go back and change it? No, I wouldn't. So
You got a pretty rockin' life, so it's like it's a hard trade-off, right?
it
Yeah.
it was. It's just your priorities, and everybody's different. So you go with what makes you feel right.
Right, exactly.
Well, one of the reasons I say this, and you haven't brought up the topic of the show, is that we don't think about the kids as much as we think we do. The example I'm giving, I'll do the holidays first. When I started doing my orphan Thanksgiving, and sometimes I'd have a single mom with her kids or something like that, and they would come over, and suddenly they wanted to come over every time. We're not giving them the choice to enjoy that memory. A lot of parents, like the parents that would come over with their kid, they had never done this for their kid. So the kid was never given the choice. And when they experienced it, they really truly liked it because that was still a new experience for them. Another thing that happened, I was seeing this girl for a little bit just recently, a couple months ago. And I invited her family to dinner. And cool, I set up the table, we all at the table. All they want to do is come back, and we're talking 19-year-old. A 16-year-old and a 19-year-old. And they're like, we got to, because they haven't had family dinners at a table. There was no special event. It was just eating at the table. When they're not given the choice to enjoy it, no wonder they want to go to their room. No wonder they want to do something else.
Right.
And they constantly, hey, when we going back there? When we going back there? That was so cool. All this food laid out in front of us. I wasn't sitting on the couch with a plate. And I see that and I hear that and it saddens me.
All right. Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
Just that made me think about the high and low. I said early on that my aunt used to ask, the high and low of your day. Okay. That stuck with me for such a long time that me as a teacher, horse trainer, and clientele and all of that, when we would go to horse shows and we would go out to dinner after the horse show, we would all go together. There'd be like 15 kids, and I had pony kids, and we would all sit down in like a big restaurant where they gave us our own room, and that was the first thing I did. Everybody has to tell us the high and low of your day. So that memory from my past, from a family gathering, trickled over into them, and then it became a ritual. Every time that we would all go out to dinner, small or large, they all wanted to know high and low of everybody's day. And it was
Most of
just
the events
wonderful.
I've had started out as just a whim or something to do, and it
Yeah.
becomes, that's how you build tradition.
Right.
People think in order to have a tradition, you must have a tradition already. And you don't. You build it by doing something unique and then following through with it. We're all going to die one day. I mean, we're not going to be here. But the way people live on is to carry forth what we've shown them throughout our lives. And I do think that that's something that a lot of people have to work on. Remember that your children are going to have a future without you. Why don't you show them what they can bring into their world and pass on to your children? That's how you live from generation to generation to generation. With Thanksgiving coming up very shortly, with COVID, with not being able to get together, this is a time in our lives that kind of supersedes every other time we've ever experienced where family is the most important thing around. It's the one thing we need to cherish because it also, again, if you want to go a religious aspect or anything, it's a sign from somewhere of what has happened. And it's a clue to get together again. It's showing you what you've lost. People always talk that I have the best times now because, like you were saying earlier, that families are closer now, that we're getting a lot closer. That doesn't have to be a new experience. You should be able to say, who cares? We're here. We always have, all you need is family. People used to say it all the time. I don't care what happens as long as you're here with me. Now I do care. Now I do care that I don't have my phone and my internet, and I do care that we're split and we can't go over here and we can't do this and we can't do that. Again, prioritize, as Lenny said. Priorities are important. Make family something. Because you don't get it back. You create new family, and hopefully that new family, you instill values, traditions, and the love that was instilled within you. The only way that can change, we always ask what we can do, well, is if we change it. We have to make that difference. Today's topic, of course, was Gathered Around the Table, is bringing back family fun, the family unit, family get-togethers. We did cover a lot of things on there. Everything we mentioned, like the game nights and the movies and the TV and the dinners and just chatting and all that is very important. But you know what? That's not all there is either. In today's world, there's a plethora of other options out there. So find something new, create a new tradition. It can never be a tradition if you don't do it the first time. Coming up on Wednesday is Let's Give Thanks. That's our true Thanksgiving show.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do there is, that is actually going to be a topic that's going to be a little different, because we're not really going to try to talk about really deep issues or messages. We're going to talk about the things that we are thankful for. And I think that's important for people to listen to and hear and comment themselves, because you can't always reach out to other people. So we're going to talk about the best things in our life that we've been thankful for, that we are thankful for, and what we have to look forward to in the future. It should be a really nice show. It is in the Thanksgiving tradition, because that's what it's all about. Thanksgiving is probably one of the most, it's in the title, it's one of the most powerful holidays out there. You know, it is giving thanks. It is the one time a year where it's not about anything but the people around you.
Right.
And that is a very important thing. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe to Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Periscope, and something else, Twitch. That's the other one. All right, see, I had it before. I didn't have that time. Or visit our website at www.earshouldervoice.com, and there you can see our live schedule. You can sign up to be a guest panelist. It's just all around. We want you to follow the channel. Please make sure you do. If you're on YouTube, follow that. If you're on Facebook, make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow that. And, you know, cross promote, because we need you everywhere. We want you everywhere. We like you there. So I want to thank you. The diverse panel tonight was fantastic. I liked having that, because we really do have a variety of ages on here, going from Brandon up. If we'd have had somebody even younger, that would have been cool. But, you know, young kids can't shut up. So we're good.
It's about me.
Nah, we love kids too. And don't forget to love your kids. And don't forget to show them that there is something more out there. And when you grow up, you're depriving them of a lot more than you think you are. You're caring too much about yourself right now. You don't have the time. Make the time. Because you don't have to do anything in life. You don't have to. You build your own busy schedule. You build your chaotic life. You can pull time out of there. You can skip that show. You can skip that scrolling on Facebook. Everybody gets lost in that fucking wormhole. Take that time to spend that time with your family. So thank you very much for being here, Nikki.
Thank you for having me, sir.
You're incredible as always. I love it. Such good perspective. That went by really quick. It's been like an hour and 15 minutes. It went by quick.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, that went by quick. Lenny, love having you on here. Definitely, you had more fun than I did prior to the show, but I had a lot of fun during the show, so that's great. Long live Wizard of Oz, right? All right, and Brandon, what can I say? You're Brandon.
That's what it comes down to. To go back to what I actually said, you know, people become too busy, it becomes easier. Well, maybe just because it's easier not to doesn't mean it's not important to do it. So
Amen.
That's exactly what it is. Don't always take the easy route because your parents
Right.
didn't do it.
Right.
You're here today
Right.
remembering this stuff because they didn't. Teach family ethics and work ethics, as Bill says. We are nothing without you on the chat. Thank you for all your contributions tonight. It was great. Thank you, Bill. It's been fantastic. Bill's going to be like my thank you, or I'm sorry, Matt Damon, or whatever it is they say on that show. So that's going to be our Bill. So I got to say thank you to Bill at the same time. You all have a great night. Thank you again for joining us on Ear Shoulder Voice.
Follow Yellow Brick Road.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. I like it. I think one of my favorite things on this is watching Brandon dance when music is playing. You guys
can't
can't
help it.
see it, but
I know.
every time there's
It's like-
music.
I do that too. As soon as that music comes on, I'm like, that's funny.
Huh?
It's like, okay,
I know.
the dudes wouldn't know this, but let's talk about this. So whenever you had a baby and you were just rocking, you always rock with a baby.
Yeah.
So if you're standing in line like at a grocery
Yes.
store, I'm telling you, you just start
Yes.
rocking. It's like
Sway.
music. You just start swaying. It's the weirdest thing ever, and all women would be, any woman that has had a child would relate to that.
Wait a
You
minute,
two
women
won't.
don't hold babies and rock baby, or guys don't hold babies and rock babies?
It's different, though. It's just different. You
See, I
wouldn't.
would-
Okay.
When you're freestanding,
weird.
are you rocking back and forth
Yes.
like you're cradling an infant?
Yes, especially if
No.
I see one, all of a sudden I'll start just going like this.
See, when
I'm a
It's like-
big guy. I just waddle naturally.
when I was rocking back and forth in the grocery line, it was because I was hungover.
It's like no,
Usually it's which wall's closer.
Right.
it's like yawning. If you
Yes.
yawn, I used to do it in school. I'd be sitting at my desk and I'd be bored, and I would just pretend like I yawned to see how
Just watch
many
it.
people, would yawn.
Yawn.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
exactly, because it's so catchy. It's the same thing.
That's
It's
so
the
funny.
same thing like for a mom though. It's the same thing like a nursing mom, a mom who is breastfeeding. The baby could be at home. The mom is out in public. If she sees a baby or hears a baby cry,
Yeah.
I am not lying. She will start dripping milk. Like the mind, the way everything is just programmed is just like
And then all of a sudden they have two wet spots on their
Yeah.
their
a
chest.
little milk farm.
So I'll have to pretend to cry like a baby, just see what happens.
Yeah. Seriously, it
Lenny's
happens.
rocking to the Lollipop Guild. I like that. We represent the
You gotta
Lollipop
do the
Guild.
dance. Uh-huh.
I wish you guys. I got a screenshot at one time. I just wish you guys could see Brandon with certain things. Sometimes, like if there's drums in the back, I'm like, he's fucking crazy about it. Or he gets that weird one, like,
Start going to the intro. Dude, Keith, I gotta give you props. That website is so good because I know people that have made websites and they're just so not functional, and I don't have the heart to tell them. But
It
yours
is
is actually
amazing.
like the best I've ever seen someone make a website.
Seriously, I brag every chance I can on just everything you do.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
is amazing.
I love the after show. We talk about me so much.
Let's really get into it. Why are you so
Marsha.
narcissistic? No, why are you so negative today?
Because I want to bring up negative stuff.
No, it was perfect because everyone would be like, Lenny would be like, I had the best time doing this, and you'd be like, but that's why it's gone. And everyone would be
I
like,
know.
oh,
Yeah.
now I'm sad.
I was like, when you started off the show and you were like, then
What?
You bitch.
seriously, no, seriously.
just
Then I
mean.
was like, vroom, I'm gonna change this up.
I didn't want to on this one.
Wugga, wugga, wug. I'm the
Because
champion.
honestly, I think
Yeah.
this particular show, everybody deals with different issues, and we've had a lot of
I
topics
know.
that we've covered. But this is a topic that I think covers 90 to 95% of the world,
Yeah.
or at least the United States.
Yeah, no, I think
Right.
we were all just upset that you were right.
Like,
No.
well, I wanted no,
It's
because
not-
I wanted
it
to get
wasn't
back
so
to bringing it
negative,
back.
though. Yeah.
Not just the memories of happiness, because we can have a show about memory, no problem, and how happy we were. But we always forget when we think about those memories,
We're not
we're not
making them.
creating new ones. Yeah. You know, and
We might not be, but other people may be.
not if we don't
I
start
mean,
it.
I try
that's-
my best
that's
to
Lenny
create
Optimist
new
over here.
memories.
Yeah.
We try to, even though my kids don't have the extended family, they haven't had, those experiences. We still try. I think that's why I had so many kids, so we could just
Actually,
create our own
I
experiences.
If one doesn't work, have another one. If one doesn't work, have another one.
Yeah.
Do that with beers. It usually works. I don't know.
Eventually, I'll get a good one.
you thought negative Nancy. I actually thought this was a really good show. I really
No, it
feel
was
good
excellent.
after we did this
No,
one.
it was.
I did, because I just felt so, getting some of that off my chest, particularly because I see it, and it did hit hard when I had, these kids over, and I'm so happy that they want to come back and they had such a good time, but just thinking, when I think I didn't do anything special, it bothers me,
Yeah.
because I want to see that happen, and it hits hard, because so many lose it, and I talk to so many kids, and they want it. We just don't think they do, and they don't know they do.
They don't
Well,
know they
there's-
do. That's the key. That's it right
Yeah.
there. They don't
Well,
know they do.
Because
So
like
we have
you
to
said,
keep
there's-
presenting it to them.
Right, because there's so many people who were not necessarily raised around those big family gatherings.
And a lot
it just
weren't.
wasn't there, whether, we don't know the reasons why. So,
But that's kind of the point of the show too. Like there were people that weren't, so they're not passing it on to their children
yeah.
on
yeah,
that. But now we're creating a whole another group that weren't. Eventually, they're going to disappear
Yeah.
And I might
unless
have
we show those people that didn't have it that it can't exist.
I might have
So-
called you negative, but it was also vitally important to bring that aspect to it, because without it, then everyone's just like, oh, it is good, and no one's going to make any changes. So it was good.
True.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's. And I just thought it was a really good show. I thought everybody was good. I love the input.
It was excellent.
You could, well, because we're awesome.
'Cause
We're the big four.
awesome!
We're the
You
big
know it.
four.
The big